May Miller and Antoinette Harcel, a genealogist and producer of Knowing Your Family History. May's family was enslaved until 1961. I am already getting a lot of emails, May and Antoinette, from my listeners who want to do something to help May out, how to put her out here. My listeners email me at truthfighters@gmail.com, and they are emailing just with love and support for you, May. Antoinette, I want you to put out here what you were going to put out here before we went to the break about how the Department of Justice and other agencies may have knew about this and did nothing.
Let me just say this, that there was sometimes, let me read this first. Complaints drips from Mississippi was increasing. 3 complaints in 1921 showed the conditions there to be as bleak as a generation before. A black woman from Sunflower County complained that a mean Negro and a straw boss would not allow her to get her children from a neighboring plantation. The Department of Justice promised an investigation, and other persons from the same county complained of the same treatment, adding that although the Department of Justice investigators had been to the farm, the workers had been so terrorized that they did not tell what they knew because they was afraid. But in some cases, a court fine was filed against some of the plantation owners. So some of the Department of Justice files you will find there was something done. But in May's case was a very top secret, because they was afraid to talk to anybody, and as she said before, she did not know that slavery was over. And if anybody would like to have me to do a story or tell a story, they can always reach me at 985-229-8001.
Let me ask you something, Antoinette. Is it possible, and I know you came across some other people who were in May's situation, is it possible that some people may be still going through this today?
I truly believe it is. I believe that back in the deep woods, I believe that sincerely from the bottom of my heart as I ride down the dark roads and the lonely roads of Mississippi and Louisiana, that there are still people held in conditions like that. Yes, I do. I really believe that, especially when you have the families that are still in control, the police departments, sheriff's office. I would strongly believe that it is possible.
Well,
I'm very disappointed in the African American community as a whole because we want to ignore. We think that we are free, and most of all, we thought that when Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation, that meant all of us were freed off these plantations at the same time. That's not true. And we need to take a deeper look into those areas where our ancestors were held enslaved, because many of us left the countryside and went to the cities, and we never went back to see what really took place and what is still taking place in those areas that are so isolated from the general public.
Well, that's why I think it's so important that we get May's story out here, because I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't know about May's story. My aunt Shirley Rush, she actually she called, and then she sent me the article in the mail and said, look, she said, all I'm going to tell you to do is read it, and then you go from there. And I read it, and she knew that I was going to jump all over it because of the way I am. But this story needs to be told. This is one of the reasons that I was saying what I was saying about recording my show, because people don't know about this stuff. And it's people who are at work right now who's missing this, who need to know about this. And that's why, May, I'm promising you, I'm going to do everything I can possibly do to reach out to other people, to highlight you, to get your story out here, because your story is a story that needs to be told, especially when you consider so many other families maybe in the exact same situation that you were in.
Exactly. And that's the point, is that if we keep isolating stories like May, I think it was in 2003 when I was doing a seminar in Louisiana, May walked through the door, and that was the very first time that she talked about her story. She gave me the story, and I took her back to the plantation where she was being held, enslaved. But I was convinced the very first time May gave me her story Excuse me, Andrea, it was 2001, I'm sorry, Suzanne, 2001 that she gave me the story. So I've been on this story that long with May and her family, trying to bring that story to the forefront, to have May to come in and to have speaking engagements, books for May. There needs to be book deals right now. There needs to be documentaries. There needs to be movies. I just produced a documentary on the story taking May back to the plantation. But we need to get these stories out there because that would help us with Jenna's situation and all these other issues that as it pertains to people of African descent. Because a lot of us think that it's over and it's not. We are the mad and still going through what our ancestors went through.
Well, I tell you what, I don't know how you could not hear May's story and not truly as a human being. I don't, not just African American people, but as a human being, how you could not feel compassion.
Yeah.
For this woman and for her family, and really make you want to do something to help.
And you really can't hear all her story in 15 or 20 minutes.
Right.
Where you hearing her talk about having to eat bird eggs and having no clothes and drinking out of the green water. When I went to the pond, and she said it was a green creek, you could not believe. You would have thought that you were somewhere in an isolated area, somewhere in the middle of nowhere, green stagnated water. That's what they had to drink.
Antoinette, let me ask you something, Antoinette. The people who kept her captive, where are they at?
Well, this is what a lot of the family members are still living in that general area. So that's why it's very important that we be careful with a lot of things, because we don't want to see any harm come to the family, and that's the other family members are not as brave as me with this whole ordeal, but some of their descendants are still living. And I know if you read People magazine, they had a total different view of that.
Right.
But again, when people are doing things that's wrong, they don't always know everything about their family members. No more than I know everything about my family members.
Right.
But I am convinced that these things happen to May. I have interviewed May over 100 times. And none of her story ever changes. When you look in her eyes and you see what she has been through, when I talk with her sisters and her brothers and her fathers, people cannot make up, and people would not make up horror stories like that, which May have been through.
Hey, Antoinette, before we get out of here, I want to give me the month that this ran in People magazine. It was it March or June?
March 2007.
March 2007. It was in People magazine.
Ted Copper with Nightline, December 2003.
Give me the two books. Give me the books that you mentioned for people to read.
Okay, that's the Penance Files. I have to get to that. But in the meantime, I just want to put that number out there again, 985-229-8001, and let me give those books to you. It's The Wheels of Servitude, Black Forced Labor After Slavery, Daniel A. Novak. And we have The Shadows of Slavery, Penance in the South, 1901 to 1969.
Hey, give me the books one more time.
One more time, let me give it to you. The Shadows of Slavery, Penance in the South, 1901 to 1969. The Wheels of Servitude, Black Forced Labor After Slavery, Daniel A. Novak. The first book was by P. Daniels.
Okay. Now, Antoinette Harshad, I want to thank you. May Miller, I want to thank you. And May, this is just the beginning. I am going to be a truth fighter for you, and we're going to fight to get your story out here. God bless you, and I love you, and I promise you, Antoinette, I'll call you this evening. We'll work on something to get it out here.
Thanks. God bless you, and thank you.
Oh, thank you, May. God bless you. God bless you.
Thank you.
866-801-TALK, 866-801-8255 if you want to join the conversation to talk about May. Talking to you on the Warren Valentine Show.